The day started like any other Tuesday. I had just finished showing a 3-bedroom ranch house to a young couple who couldn't stop arguing about the granite countertops. Nothing unusual there. After 12 years in real estate, I'd learned that house hunting either brings couples closer together or reveals they shouldn't be together at all. These two were definitely in the second category. I pulled into my driveway around 6:30, already thinking about dinner, maybe catching the game. But something felt off the moment I walked through the front door. The house was too quiet, yet somehow charged with energy, like the air before a thunderstorm. "Honey, I'm home," I called out, hanging my keys on the hook by the door. "In here!" Her voice came from the living room, but it sounded different, higher-pitched, almost theatrical. I walked in to find her sitting on the edge of the couch, hands clasped in her lap, wearing this enormous smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The coffee table had been moved, and she'd arranged herself like she was posing for a photograph. Everything about the scene felt staged. "You're never going to believe what happened today," she said, practically bouncing in her seat. "Try me," I replied, setting down my briefcase. She took a dramatic pause, like she was waiting for a drum roll. Then she reached behind a throw pillow and pulled out a pregnancy test, holding it up like it was a winning lottery ticket. "We're having a baby!" The words hung in the air between us. For 3 full seconds, I felt genuine confusion. Then my brain clicked into gear, and everything made perfect sense. See, here's what she didn't know about me. 7 years ago, after my divorce from my first wife, and watching my 2 kids struggle through that mess, I made a decision. I got a vasectomy. Clean, simple, permanent. At 34, with a son and daughter already, I was done. No more kids. No more complications. When I met her 2 years later, she'd been adamant about never wanting children. "Kids would ruin everything," she used to say. "I want to travel, focus on my career, enjoy our freedom." Perfect. I thought we were on the same page. So I never saw a reason to mention the vasectomy. But now, watching her perform this little act, everything became crystal clear. The late nights at her marketing job, the mysterious phone calls that ended when I entered the room, the distance over the past few months, and the way she'd been asking about my schedule. She was studying my face, waiting for my reaction. "Oh my God," I said, forcing my voice to crack with emotion. "This is incredible." Her smile widened. Relief washed over her face. Hook, line, and sinker, she thought. "I know, right? I'm still in shock myself. We always said we didn't want kids, but sometimes life has other plans. Sometimes God has bigger plans for us." "God's plans," I repeated slowly, nodding. "You're absolutely right." "This changes everything." "It does," she agreed eagerly. "We'll need to start thinking about finances, getting a bigger place maybe. Babies are expensive. You'll probably need to pick up more shifts, work some weekends." There it was, the financial angle. She wasn't just trying to trap me with a pregnancy. She was planning to bleed me dry. "You know what?" I said, standing up slowly. "This is such amazing news that I think I should share something with you too. Something I've been keeping to myself." Her expression shifted. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face. "What do you mean?" "Hold that thought," I said, heading toward the bedroom. "I have something to show you that'll make this day even more surprising." When I came back, I was holding a manila folder. My medical records. I sat across from her and looked directly into her eyes. "You know, it's funny how life works out," I said quietly. "Here you are, talking about God's plans and unexpected pregnancies." I opened the folder and pulled out the documents. "But I have some news of my own." Her face went pale. 7 years ago, I continued. "Before I even met you, I had a vasectomy. Medically verified. Confirmed sterile through multiple follow-ups." I held up the papers. "It is literally impossible for me to father a child." The pregnancy test slipped from her fingers and clattered onto the coffee table. "So, here's my question," I said calmly. "Who is he?" The silence that followed was deafening. Her face cycled through emotions: shock, panic, calculation, back to panic. "That's impossible," she stammered. "The test is positive." "I'm pregnant. It has to be yours. Medical science says otherwise," I replied. "So I'll ask again. Who is he?" Her voice rose. You're accusing me of cheating based on some old medical procedure. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe it failed after all these years. Maybe, I said thoughtfully. Or maybe you've been lying to my face for months. She stood up, tears brimming. How can you even think that? Cut the act, I snapped. The late nights, the secret calls, the constant questions about my schedule. You think I'm stupid? Those were coincidences. Work stuff! You're paranoid! Paranoid, I said. You just announced a pregnancy that's medically impossible and expected me to pay for it. When I show proof it can't be mine, you talk about God's plans and miracles. Her eyes darted around the room. Maybe we should see a doctor, get a second opinion. I shook my head. No, God already gave me protection. 7 years ago. Don't bring God into this, she snapped. You're the one who did, I shouted back. You tried to use divine intervention as your alibi. She tried again, softer this time. Honey, please. Maybe the procedure failed. We can work through this. Stop, I said coldly. Don't insult my intelligence any further. I walked closer. You have one chance to tell me the truth before I start making phone calls. When I do, every lie is going to come out. Her hands were shaking now. You're scaring me. Good, I said. You should be scared. Paternity fraud isn't just immoral. It's illegal. She broke down, trembling. It's not what you think, she whispered. Then tell me what it is. It was a mistake. A huge mistake. Nathan Carlson. From work, Nathan. Married with kids, how long? I asked. 3 months. So the whole timeline fits, I said. You thought you could just pin it on me and I'd never find out. She started sobbing. I wasn't thinking. I was scared. And greedy. Don't forget greedy, I said. You were already planning my overtime for a child that isn't even mine. We can fix this. She begged. Fix this? I said quietly. You tried to trap me into raising another man's baby. She looked destroyed. But I wasn't done. You said Nathan from work, I said. He's married. So you destroyed our marriage. For a man who's never leaving his wife. Her silence was answer enough. Or wait, I said slowly. Are you even sure Nathan's the father? She froze. Her face went pale again. There's someone else, isn't there? She buried her face in her hands. 2, she whispered. There were 2. 2, I repeated. So you don't even know who the father is? She tried to speak, but I cut her off. Don't you dare call this a mistake. This was betrayal, fraud, deception. I stared at her. You joined a gym 3 months ago, started sleeping with your trainer and with your coworker, and then decided to make me raise the result. That about right? She nodded miserably. You know what the worst part is? I said softly. I loved you. I thought we were partners. And the whole time you were making a fool of me. I love you too, she cried. No, I said. You love my stability, my paycheck, my loyalty, but not me. She had no answer. You're going to pack your things, I said finally. You're leaving tonight. This marriage is over. She begged, pleaded, cried, but I was done. By midnight, she was gone. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed. Is this about your ex-wife? An unfamiliar voice asked. Nathan Carlson here. I think we need to talk. Nathan apologized. Said she told him she was separated. Said he wanted nothing to do with her now. Typical. Within a month, she'd lost her job, her reputation, and both men she'd risked everything for. Her sister called next, said she was jobless, broke, and spiraling. Even her family wouldn't take her in anymore. 3 months later, I was officially divorced. My life, peaceful again. My kids proud of me. My ex-wife supportive. When I heard she'd had the baby, Victor's baby, I felt nothing. Just relief. I'd built a good life once. Now I was building a better one. Wiser, stronger, and finally free. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is discovering the truth about someone before it's too late. Our story has come to an end. If you made it this far, make sure to subscribe. It helps us a lot. And I've picked 2 more stories I know you'll love. Click one of them, and I'll see you in the next video.